Yeah, you know what this is? It's CTB, man. We here to talk about Keith Thurman. He gave an interview with Fight Hype. He said this right here.
If potentially my next fight was a Crawford, I think this is a good look to have somebody who has hand speed and is more of a better, I don't want to just use the word tune-up, but he's got length, he's got speed, you know, he's got pop of his own, and I think that transfers better over from Barrios Crawford than Jose Cito Lopez Manny Pacquiao. You guys remember how 2019 went?
Yeah, you hear what Keith Thurman said, man. He said this is a great build-up fight for the Terence Crawford fight. We want to know here at CTV, man, do you all agree or disagree? With that being said, let's get to this chin check, man. I'm your boy Jay Slay. So what up to him, man?
What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in.
Most definitely. Well, you heard what Keith Thurman had to say about Bud, man. He said that he feels a lot more confident in this fight leading up to a Bud fight than he did having a Henson Cito Lopez fight going into the Manny Pacquiao fight. Do you agree with that statement, or you think he's just reaching for sales?
He reaching. Now, I don't see anything that Barrios brings to the table that can prepare him for a Terence Crawford fight. I mean, even if he said, like he said, he hinted at it being a tune-up, and then he changed and said, I don't want to call it a tune-up. But even if he thought he was a low grade below Terence Crawford fight, I still don't believe that Barrios has anything to bring to the table. Like you said, this is a guy that got stopped by 135-pounder Tank Davis. You know, I mean, he's good at selling a fight. I'm somewhat interested, not because of the fight, more per se. I'm more interested to see if he's still the same fighter. You know,
he talked his way into the year.
So I want to know if he's still the same fighter. So that's more my concern than the actual fight, because if he loses this fight, he pretty much done. So I want to see if he still has the goods to be able to compete at the elite level of 147. But Barrio brings nothing to the table to prepare him for Terence Crawford or Earl Spence.
Yeah, he's talking his way into sales. That's why I did the little mouth thing. He's talking his way into sales, man. In my opinion, he's trying to link the fight to Terence Crawford and Earl Spence, which he's supposed to. He's the tier below them, I would say. He's the ex-champion. He's pretty much on the same tier that Sean Porter was at. He's slightly above them because he beat him. So he's slightly above Sean Porter, Danny Garcia. So he's letting his mouth sell tickets, man, in my opinion. But yeah, I agree with you, man. That this Mario Barrios fight has nothing to do with Terence Crawford. Maybe the reach and the height, possibly, because I think they're close to the same height. And you know, Terence Crawford has long arms. Mario Barrios had long arms. He tried to say that Mario Barrios is fast and throws a lot of punches. That's why he thinks it's a better gauge for him and Terence Crawford. I think Terence Crawford is faster than Mario Barrios, in my opinion.
I don't think Terence Crawford's a volume puncher. I think he's more of a calculated puncher. So I don't see what he was talking about.
Yeah, also he's not a volume puncher. He pretty much, like you said, he's a counter puncher. He's going to counter you when you make your mistakes, and he'll throw combinations, but he has to see the opening for a combination. I think Mario Barrios just throw punches recklessly. He just throw punches to land a punch, and he's one of the type of fighters that he'll take two punches to get off one. He's that type of fighter. That has nothing to do with Terence Crawford. But you got to read between the lines of what he said, though. He said he felt that this fight is a better gauge than it was in 2019 when he fought Henson Cito Lopez preparing for Manny Pacquiao. So you really have to break down what he said. So breaking it down in that aspect, do you agree with him on that, or do you disagree with him on that?
Well, the thing is, I think both fighters were not a good gauge. I think Lopez doesn't bring anything to the table to prepare for Manny Pacquiao. I don't think Barrios brings anything to the table to prepare for Terence Crawford. If I had to choose one, I guess you could slightly favor Barrios because, just like you said, because of the measurements, and that's it. Like with Lopez was a lot taller. He was a different fighter than Manny Pacquiao, so they were nothing alike. Barrios, like you said, as far as the style of fighting, him and Crawford are nothing alike. But I guess if you want to take the measurements and maybe speed somewhat, but I still think Terence Crawford is faster. But I guess Barrios coming up from 140, he might be one of the fastest fighters that Thurman has fought. So maybe he can gauge that a little bit, because if he had trouble with his speed, he know damn well he gonna have trouble with Terence Crawford's speed. So I would have to favor that and say that the Mario Barrios fight will prepare him a little bit better for that than the Lopez fight for the Manny Pacquiao fight.
All right, I'm gonna play devil's advocate, man. I'm gonna disagree with you just for the sake of the show. I'm gonna disagree. I'm gonna say that Henricito Lopez was a better gauge because he was a warrior and Manny Pacquiao is a warrior. Henricito Lopez can take some punches, man. He has whether you want to admit it or not, he had a beard. He has a chin. He took some punches for some great fighters, man, and stayed there. Even though he got stopped in a couple of those fights, he still was there in those fights. He was still throwing punches. He was a warrior, and that's Manny Pacquiao to a T. Manny Pacquiao throws punches like a warrior, man. So. And that body shot that he caught from Henricito Lopez was a great gauge because that same body shot kind of caught him in that fight. So I'm gonna say that Keith Thurman was wrong, man. I'm gonna say the Henricito Lopez fight was a better gauge because they let him know that his body was weak, and Manny Pacquiao exposed that body. Speaking of the body shots, man, real quick, what do you expect Henricito Lopez get? Not Henricito Lopez, Mario Barrios. What do you expect Mario Barrios planning to be? You think he's gonna look forward to trying to test that body? Since the last couple of fights, it seems that that's Thurman weakness, or you think he's going to feed into the trash talk of Thurman and try to go out here and knock him out?
I think that's exactly what he's going to do. I think he's going to try to break Thurman down. He's going to try to use high volume. Like, we're not going to go too far because we're going to make our predictions later on in the week. But I think he's going to try to use a lot of volume to try to steer around. And I think he's going to try to do some inside work and get those body shots in so that he can slow him down and in the back half of the fight, try to win the fight. I think that's the only chance he got. I think if he try to box and be calculated and try to counter punch with Thurman, he gonna get outclassed. But I think if he just volume punches and make it less of a chess match and more of a thinking match and more grit. But I think that Barrios might have a little bit more grit than Thurman. He can pull off an upset.
I agree with you on that. Like you said, we're not go too far into it because we're doing our prediction later on this week. But I'm gonna add something else to that. I'm gonna say that really he has no choice because I think Keith Thurman gonna come out here hot. He's gonna come out here trying to knock Barrios' head off. He has the pressure. Exactly. He has the pressure to go in here and knock this guy's head off. That is what he's pretty much paying Barrios to do. He's paying Barrios to be slept. You know what I'm saying?
Question. Just not to cut you off.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's say he come out on fire like you said, and in the first 2 rounds he knock him down a couple times and stop him. Would you be impressed with that performance?
No, I won't. We kind of touched on that on our old videos. We was blown away by the pick of Barrios. Barrios never fought in a weight class before. He been, like you said earlier in this video, he's been stopped by a 135 pounder. In my opinion, a 130 pounder who has power that can fight at 135 and 140. But in my eyes, Tank's still a 130 pounder. He got beat up and stopped by him. Keith Thurman has been fighting at welterweight most of his career, if not all his career. So he better go out here and knock him out. If he go in here and hit Henricito Lopez clean with shots, and Henricito Lopez don't get stinky legs, Barrios. If Barrios go in here and take Keith Thurman's best shots, it's gonna look bad on Keith Thurman, man. Keith Thurman has to hurt and knock this guy out. And it can't be no late round stoppage. It can't be no 8th, 9th. It can't go into the 8th, 9th, and 10th round fighting this guy. Especially if you landing bombs on him and he eating them. And if you landing bombs on your stomach and it shows in your face that you hurt, then it's gonna hurt your pride, hurt you a little bit.